Hey folks, Dale Davidson here today. Thank you for joining. Have you ever wondered why the VA math is so screwed up? Well, this is what we're going to talk about today. How to calculate your VA benefits and all of these combined ratings and stuff. It's a little confusing, so stay tuned and we'll get into it. Anyway, so look, we all know that VA benefits, in particular VA compensation, they're vital to the financial health and well-being of our veterans who have been injured in service or their disability has been aggravated by their service. So this is a very important topic. So, question. Is the VA math harder than calculus or algebra or differential equation or topology? I don't know. I think it is. A lot of people think it is, so let's dive into it right now. So the first step in calculating your VA disability compensation benefit is just to understand the rating tables themselves. Okay, these are found in the Code of Federal Regulations, and these rates look at your disabilities and they rate them based upon a scale of 0% to 100% in 10% increments. There are charts in the VA Code of Regulations for you to check those out. Just Google disability rating charts and it'll come up on your browser. Again, we're looking at service-connected disabilities. These are injuries or disabilities that you were injured or disabled while in service, or it was manifest, your disability or injury manifest shortly thereafter. We're only talking about service-connected disabilities, not non-service connected disabilities. This is where you need to have medical evidence and service records to establish your disability. Again, medical evidence, medical opinions, and we've preached this over our other videos, very critical to you proving your disability. So let's talk about combining multiple disabilities. So if you have more than one service-connected disability, the VA uses a combined rating system rather than adding them all together. My question to you is, you've got one disability. Do you really think that your one service-connected disability is all you've got? I mean, I have lower back pain. Do you have any kind of secondary condition? So, have you ever heard of that song called Dim Bones? You know, dim bones, toe connected to the foot bone connected to the ankle bone? That's what I'm talking about. So let me give you an insider tip. If you have a service-connected disability, you probably have some secondary or related disabilities as well. Again, think about that Dim Bones song I just talked about. All right. If your lower back is hurting you, maybe you have that's affected your gait or your walking. If so, do you have any kind of nerve damage? What about shoulder pain? What about sexual dysfunction? What about plantar fasciitis? All of those different things. What could be secondary to your primary disability? Never ever discount your secondary conditions to your primary. Okay, so if one part of your body is out of whack, more likely than not, another part is going to be out of whack also, because you are compensating for that disability. So here's an example of a multiple disability rating. If you have a 30% rating for one condition and a 20% rating for another, these don't simply add up to 50%. Okay, you don't go 30 plus 20 is 50%. Instead, the VA uses a specific formula to determine a combined rating. And the VA determines your rating, combined rating, using a process that involves the VA's combined ratings table. And let me just give you an example of this. So here's my fancy chart. Let's assume the veteran is 30%, has a disability of 30%, 20%, 10%. That doesn't equal to 60%, okay? This is how it's calculated. You're at 100% initially. You reduce your 100% by the 30% disability. Now you're at 70%. So you got 70% of your body. So 70% times your 20% disability is 14%. 70% minus 14% is 56%. That's how much body you got left, all right? Now, 10%, the last disability, 10% times 56% is 5.6. And so you have 56% minus 5.6. That is your combined rating of 50.4. So they round it down to a combined rating of 50%. So you can see that the 30%, 20%, and 10% is not 60, it's really 50. Here's, again, the basic overview of how it works. You have individual ratings. First, the VA assigns individual disability ratings for each service-connected condition. In my case, there was a 30%, a 20%, and 10%. Okay? Then these ratings are applied using that formula we just talked about. The VA does not simply add these together. Okay, so this is not 60%. Instead, by this calculation that we just went through, this is a 50% combined rating. Okay, so this table considers the fact that the more disabilities a person has, the less each additional disability will affect the overall percentage of the disability. We're looking from the highest disability rating to the lowest. And that's what this chart is all about, is the VA uses this formula to combine two or more ratings. Again, the first or the highest rating is subtracted from 100%, which gives you the remaining efficiency. The second rating is applied to the remaining efficiency. Okay, 70% times 20% is 14%, remember? The result is then subtracted from the 100% to get to the new combined rating in this process, and it continues and continues, okay? Now, at the end of things, at the end of the day, after everything's been combined, the final number is rounded to the nearest 10%. So we gave this example. If you want to use your own disability ratings, if you've got more than one disability and more than one rating, you can figure out how they came about at your combined disability rating. Now let's talk about dependents and additional compensation. Now, if you're a veteran with a disability rating of at least 30% or higher, you can receive additional compensation for dependents, such as a spouse, a child, or children or parents. The number of dependents and their relationship to you would also influence the total amount of compensation. Let's talk a little bit about special monthly compensation. In some cases, you can qualify for special monthly compensation. They could be, for instance, like housebound or aid and attendance. This provides additional benefits for specific circumstances such as the loss of a limb, blindness, a need for regular aid and attendance due to the severity of the disability. Maybe you have a cognitive issue that causes you to be housebound. Then yes, you could qualify for the special monthly compensation. So we've gone through the calculation of the combined disability rating. And then so once the VA has determined your combined disability rating, then the monthly compensation amount can be calculated. Now again, the VA has a table for this. And so they look at the table and they go across and say, we've got a veteran with 0 dependents to however many dependents. And then they look at what that rate is. For instance, this year, a single veteran with a 50% combined disability rating is going to receive around $1,075 per month. So again, if you have dependents, then that amount is going to be higher. So before we leave, we need to look at what happens if you don't like your rating decision. You think it should be higher. You have the right to appeal. There's basically 2 ways to appeal. There's the supplemental review, where you can provide additional evidence to say, look, here's my disability rating, you've only rated me at a 20%. I really need to be at a 40%, and here are the reasons. Here's the medical evidence to justify my 40% rating. Again, medical evidence is critical here. An opinion of a medical professional is critical. All right. So what are some of the factors that influence this calculation that we've just gone through? Number one is the severity of the disability, of your disability. Of course, the more severe your disability, the higher the rating. Maybe you have slight ringing in your ears, so you've got tinnitus, 10%. But what happens if you have hearing loss that's more severe than the tinnitus? Then that may be 20 or 30%. The more severe the disability, the higher the rating. If you have multiple disabilities, then the VA looks at combining them into an overall rating and then applying that overall rating to their rating schedule to come up with your compensation amount. If you have dependents, a spouse or children, that can affect your overall rating. And then if you have special circumstances, you may qualify for special monthly compensation, or other benefits can increase your compensation. Look, if you don't ask for it, you're certainly not going to get it. The key to disability benefits, in fact compensation, is being informed about the latest and greatest on VA compensation and the rating changes that they come. They're coming down with things all the time. Okay, and so being up on the regulations is crucial. So regularly check with your VA official website, okay, va.gov, and see if there's any changes, okay? Or you could contact us. That's great. We'd look forward to speaking to you. Look, calculating VA compensation benefits involves understanding the disability rating system, okay, which is establishing the service connection, considering all kinds of additional factors like dependents and special circumstances, and staying updated on the latest and greatest in the regulations. If you have any questions regarding your particular case, please don't hesitate to reach out and give us a shout. DearVAGuy@gmail.com, DearVAGuy@gmail.com. Hey folks, thank you for tuning in today. Hey, I talked about this topic in this previous video, but hey, go to this video here called Special Monthly Compensation for Veterans. Do you qualify? To get some more updated information on that benefit. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day.